You're tuned to 76.5 on your FM dial. This is RIDGE FM, broadcasting live from Ridge City. This is for all you race fans out there. Here are the Boom Boom satellites coming straight at you with some wicked beats. Check it out now.
There was a time when racing games were prime candidates for showing off a new console's capabilities, demonstrating the advancements in graphical quality and performance, as players were able to go faster than ever before. And one of the best times to do so is as a launch title. Namco first did this on the PlayStation's debut with their port of Ridge Racer, and then repeated history in the year 2000, launching alongside the PlayStation 2 with Ridge Racer 5. As the first game in the series on a new generation of hardware, but also following up the critically acclaimed Ridge Racer Type 4, Part 5 had a lot to live up to, and managed to continue the series' legacy of high-quality arcade racing, while also making some deliberate choices to help it stand out as a unique entry in the series. So with introductions out of the way, this is Ridge Racer 5, a drifting masterpiece with immaculate vibes.
The race is about to start. We're bringing you this race today, live from Parktown. We're in for some serious racing action today. 3, 2, 1, go! And they're off! The cars are streaming past the start line.
Ridge Racer 5 is all about racing in sports cars around city streets, challenging you to drift around corners as quickly as possible. While the game's controls are simple, racing well takes time and practice to master. The only inputs you need to be concerned with on the DualShock 2 are the gas and brake buttons, and an analog stick for steering. The goal is to remain at full speed for most of the race, with little use for brakes in the traditional sense. The brakes are less for slowing down, and more for getting your car to start drifting around turns. Letting off the gas also initiates drift, so go with whichever feels better to you. Cars come in one of two turning styles, drift and grip. Drift cars go wide when sliding around turns, and grip cars prefer to hug the insides of corners. As you become more familiar with how both types work, you'll get a feel for how to approach curves. As you're drifting, applying enough countersteer carries you through turns and straightens you back out. When you're trying to take turns without drifting, but need to slow down a bit, your best bet is to brake early enough before the turn to let off some speed. Tapping the brake for a split second, then quickly getting back on the gas readjusts your car for last second saves, keeping it away from walls that kill your speed and momentum. As fun as drifting can be, optimal driving means learning which turns you can take normally and which require drifting, because with how you work your way up the fields of opponents, every second spent driving at full speed matters. If you're familiar with how R4 played, RR5 should feel right at home, yet noticeably improved, as you break away from the pack and claim first place.
Finish line is just up ahead! It's the final stretch!
Every track in Ridge Racer 5 takes place in Ridge City, a seaside concrete jungle based on remakes of the two tracks from the original Ridge Racer. These familiar routes, plus brand new ones, are interconnected, intersecting and branching out from each other to create 7 street circuits, which explore various parts of the city, oftentimes closing off access to some roads to open up others. The streets can be wide open, narrow, and winding as you race across highways, bridges, and interchanges, with plenty of corners to drift around. However, by today's standards, the city isn't the largest, so most tracks share a few sections, which does mean they can blur together as the laps start to add up. That doesn't mean the tracks aren't well designed though. The mark of any good track is that each section is still fun the first and the 100th time. To help add some variety, most tracks can be raced on at different times of day, which completely changes the mood of a race. Give a track you've been playing with the sun out a shot in the dark sometime, and see if you notice a difference. Or if you think you can navigate the entire city with your eyes closed, try the tracks in reverse to change up how you approach each corner.
This is your new car. The Mercurio is Vervelta's full-time all-wheel drive sports car that delivers speed and control in an elegant body design.
The cars in Ridge Racer 5 are split into 3 classes. You start out with the main 6 standard class cars, each offering a unique driving feel and split evenly between drift and grip types. The Kamada Fiaro and Fortune are very nimble when turning, only really requiring drift or grip turns on the sharpest corners, and great first choices for new players. Their top speeds aren't the best though, so they can struggle to keep up with faster cars taking clean lines. The Danver Toreador has great acceleration, but can feel a bit heavy when leaning into drifts, requiring you to mind your angle to avoid oversteering. The Revelta Solaria and Mercurio have good top speeds, they just take a bit to accelerate. They're great choices when you want to move on to more advanced cars that can keep up the pace. And then there's the Himmel-EO, boasting superior acceleration and top speed, but with an odd steering angle. While it's classified as a grip car, its handling makes it feel like a drift and grip hybrid, hugging corners while also sliding outward a bit. If you can master the EO's learning curve, you'll rocket your way through the entire race. All 6 cars also have upgraded extra class versions, with improved performance stats across the board, further accentuating the pros and cons of each car. They also come with track-ready facelifts, adding body kits, rear spoilers, and more detailed paint jobs. This class is also where selecting an engine comes into play, between either the souped-up extra engine or the high-speed oval engine. One of the core themes of this game is putting together your own racing team, and part of that is designing a combination of paint colors, paint pattern, and wheels that apply to all your main cars. I liked the synergy of my Mach Rider's car sporting a consistent white, red, and black color scheme, especially on this game's cover car, the Revelta Mercurio. Everything about its design screams, this is a race car. It's my favorite car in this game, and in the entire series. Finally, there's the dual class cars, offering idiosyncratic driving styles for those up to the challenge. They can't be used in normal races, however, so sadly no destroying the entire field for the fun of it. While 5's garage size is noticeably smaller than Type 4's, I think the trade-off for more individual driving feels makes up for it. From the moment you boot up Ridge Racer 5, you can immediately tell that this game is a vibe. Its style of low-key and minimalistic cool can be felt across every aspect of this game's presentation. Graphically, Ridge Racer in this new generation has never looked better, with way more complex models for cars and tracks, allowing you to better take in the finer details, like all the buildings in the background, street signs pointing out the directions to other spots around the city, and parts of the other tracks visible to make the city feel dense and connected. Cars are adorned with logos containing countless Namco references, and the expanded customization options add that extra personal touch to them. The PS2's horsepower allows the game to run at a smooth 60 frames per second, which make the high-speed drift races feel the fastest they've ever been. Smoke coming from tires while drifting, and sparks flying when cars move on inclines are great touches that add to the sense of speed. While the game's persistent city setting does give off a somewhat muted look, that's not to say it's devoid of color. The car's various color schemes brighten things up, and changing the race's time of day paint everything in shades of sunset orange or midnight black. The factory menu has animated flourishes for each selection. Sometimes I'd resist smashing through screens to let them play out. Almost every car has a unique accelerometer to add another neat bit of flair on the screen, and the Pac-Man section time notification never gets old, at least whenever it's showing how many seconds you're ahead of the pack. The race replays are even more dynamic, with plenty of cinematic camera angles to make your heated races look cool, and make me glad I've been recording them to rewatch whenever the mood hits me. As for the music, topping Type 4's soundtrack would be a tough act to follow, but I think instead of trying to do that, Ridge Racer 5's playlist tries out some new directions to create its own kind of vibe. These new songs include tracks that have a bit more of a darker mood to them, some club-worthy beats courtesy of a DJ guest composer, and the Namco sound team's signature high-energy melodies. They all fit the intensity of racing through a city perfectly, especially when you pair songs with a certain time of day. Keeping with this game's low-key style, the music isn't in your face. It helps you stay focused on the race in my opinion, and I found myself constantly bobbing my head whenever I really got into the zone. Drifts are accompanied with tire screeches that sound super satisfying when you cleanly pull one off at full speed. The announcer this time is a radio DJ for Ridge City FM, and his broadcasts on every race include color commentary on your driving, and occasional announcements about the city's Grand Prix for nice bits of world building, making everything he says sound like the coolest thing ever.
The winner of this Grand Prix will be determined in this final race. So who's gonna have the last lap? Well, we'll find out the answer to this question in a few minutes. That was tight.
The Ridge City Grand Prix has plenty of events to check out to enjoy racing to the max. But before you get started, you first have to decide on names for your racing team and driver, and select a difficulty level. From there, it's time to start a Grand Prix, a series of 4 races with various qualifying conditions. You select from one of the 6 starter cars, and then it's off to the races. To move on to the next round of a Prix, you have to finish in that round's qualifying rank or better. If you fall short, you have 3 retries for each round. Depending on the difficulty level, races can be a fight to the finish as you move up the field. Computer cars in the higher positions will go out of their way to block you, and are nigh immovable objects, so getting hit hurts you more than them. You'll have to pay attention to their lines, especially on drift turns, and make clean overtakes to secure the lead. Alongside a trophy for your Grand Prix victory, you also unlock the car you raced with to use in other modes. As your team wins Prix in certain races, your cars are assigned a new number based on their performance, starting from number 99 and goes all the way up to number 1. Winning the standard GP unlocks the Extra Grand Prix, which contains 4 new series of races. You race with and unlock the Extra class cars, drafting to gain speed is now possible, and new rules come into play, like checkpoint-based time limits or racing on reverse tracks. Win all of those, and the final Prix introduces you to oval-style racing, where precision speed is all that matters, and drifting is the last thing you want to do. Completing the Extra Prix randomizes the track selection on every subsequent playthrough to mix things up. While that's all there is to the Grand Prix for those playing on easy and normal, those who played on hard will unlock the Ultimate Grand Prix. It's a gauntlet of 5-lap races with even tougher opponents, and you must come in first in every race to continue. You'll have to keep the mistakes to a minimum, and race as consistently as the computer if you want to have any hope of catching up to the leader. Anyone who has the skills and perseverance to win here is truly worthy of calling themselves a Ridge Racer.
Finish line is just up ahead! It's the final stretch! Finish! There goes the winner! What an incredible race!
There's way more racing to do outside of Grand Prix. Every race driven counts towards your team's total mileage, and at certain thresholds you'll unlock bonus content. The big ones being a special Pac-Man car, plus a Pac-Man themed race against the Ghost at 1500 miles, or 765 kilometers. As you unlock new cars and tracks, Freerun is a good place to practice with them since there's no traditional single race option. If you have a friend to play with, Versus Mode lets you play single races or a Grand Prix together. While Player 1 can use any car saved on their memory card, Player 2 will also need to have saved data if they want to use any cars outside of the presets. Ideally, races here would be the most fun when it's both players' personalized teams pitted against each other. Time Attack has its own set of challenges to beat. On select courses, there are rival names with record times to beat. Doing so lets you challenge them in duel mode, a one-on-one race against an especially powerful car. Each duel car plays wildly different, so you'll have to learn their gimmicks and counter with superior driving. Win the race, and you'll unlock the rival's dual class car. Beating all 4 rivals in time trials, and then in their duels unlocks the Battle Royale, where you race against all 4 unique rivals at the same time with your choice of dual car. And if all those races weren't enough challenges for you, then take on the 99 trial. It's a 99-lap endurance race, and winning won't come quickly or easily. While you're free to pause and take breaks when necessary, completing that many laps is going to take you around an hour and a half, so make sure you have enough time in your hands. Outside of a special trophy for your garage, a 99 trial victory is solely for bragging rights, but I think it's an achievement worth bragging about. When a game has the heavy burden of being a sequel to a well-beloved favorite, I think it's best to just do your own thing and have confidence in it, a task that Ridge Racer 5 pulled off quite well. It plays great with a healthy variety of cars, took a unique approach to track design, still looks gorgeous to this day, and has its own sense of style thanks to its soundtrack and presentation. All these factors combined have allowed the game to stand on its own, and rightfully garnered adoration from many fans, some who believe this is the best game in the series, for plenty of valid reasons. While my top spot belongs to another entry, I won't deny that Ridge Racer 5 gets a lot right, and is one city excursion you should definitely check out, or make a return trip if it's been some time since your last Grand Prix in Ridge City. As always, this has been fun, and I'm already looking forward to covering another amazing racing game. So I hope you'll check out what I've got in store for next time, and thank you for watching.